You don't compete with a force. You just get out the way. Your power's begging you to play. Begging you to play. Begging you to play.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Am-A-Lot. I am your host, Emma Swiger, and I'm sitting down today with somebody that I think you guys are going to really like. Her name is Katy. We did a really fun photo shoot a couple months ago, and I liked her from her content. I liked her even more talking to her, so I feel like you guys are going to fall in love with her. Let me tell you a little bit about her before I bring her on. Her name is Katy Culver. She is a business mentor and identity expander for visionary women who are allergic to settling. Can I get an amen on that? She helps ambitious women stop running society's scripts unless their souls build. We're going to try that again. She helps ambitious women stop running society's scripts and let their soul free so they can build limitless lives and legacy that fuel their freedom. She was a multi six figure career coach before doubling down on serving women who have big vision beyond the corporate path. So she now runs masterminds, transformational retreats, which we're going to talk about, and online programs that help women reclaim their power. So welcome to the podcast, Katy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I really had fun talking to you. And so I was like, I could feel like I could take this podcast in so many different directions. And it's one of the reasons I really wanted to come back to having a podcast is I get the rare treat, I feel like, in our normal lives of actually getting to spend time with people in person. I love that part of my job. And so I was like, I got to bring some of these people on and let people get to know them more. So I have a feeling we're going to go down a few different conversation paths. But one of the things I want to start by talking about is I love that you have a nomadic life. When I met you, you had just left one country, were home in the US for a brief period of time before heading off to live somewhere else. So can you tell us a little bit about all of that?
Yeah, I feel like a big part of my identity is being a traveler, being an explorer. I've always been kind of exploring, testing out different environments. And I think it was, about 2 years ago in 2024, I had tried nomading a little bit and decided to take the leap full time and give up my New York apartment in Brooklyn. And as I do with everything, I was like, let this be an experiment because it felt way too scary to just fully commit to traveling and like not going back. So I was like, okay, it's an experiment. I'll be back. I'll be back. And the experiment went really well. And as I was traveling the world, I realized that I was working so hard on building my business. But when I stepped outside, I was like, it's summer. I'm at the beach in Ibiza. Like, this is amazing. This is the life hack to working a lot while also enjoying your life. And so I found so many different parts of myself. Every place I traveled, it felt like I got to meet a new version of me. And part of environment change is a really fast way to shift your identity because you're immersed in this new culture, which is also why I love retreats, which we can talk more about as well. But I had visited Portugal and I fell in love with it and started the visa process. And then in between, I went to Costa Rica and fell in love with it there. So I'd been to Costa Rica a few times. That's where I was coming from, why I was so beautifully bronzed and tan for our photo shoot. And then I was moving to Portugal. So I've been in Portugal since May and beat bopping around Europe for the summer, which has been an absolute dream.
I feel like you are living every Euro girl's dream summer, like just all the time. It's just you live Euro summer year round.
It's kind of like a life hack. I don't know what to say. Like the full-time traveling rewired my brain more than anything else I've ever done. Because it's just like I don't think I've been on a quote unquote vacation in forever, but I'm always traveling. And it's like this beautiful mixing of life and work. And it's part of when I say like building your limitless life, it's like, what does travel look like to you? And not everybody wants to travel full time. Now I have a home base, which is great. There's also a lot of benefits to being in one place, but being able to just like work from anywhere in the world, which is a huge benefit of doing a lot of the work that we do, being able to travel and find new parts of yourself and bring that wisdom back home is just chef's kiss. It's the best.
I was going to say, I feel like for so many people, like I know a lot of women who are in corporate, friends of mine, like my sister, people are like, I just wish I could travel year round. And I feel like that had to have been something that really helped you in your previous iteration of your career was like, people like, wait, that's an option. Like I really could do that. Did you find that a lot where people just wanted to, like were inspired by what you did and wanted to also leave corporate or change what they were doing to do what you were doing?
Maybe not full time. I think a lot of people want to travel more. Full time sounds really scary to most people, which is totally normal. I would have never committed to it until I started meeting people who had been doing it for 4 or 5 years and lived all over the world. And it just becomes normal after a point where you're like, yeah, these people are going to Asia in October. Like, should I go and join them for the month? Like, maybe. And just become very, as with anything, when you're immersed in people where that's their normal, it just becomes more normal. But I think for me, location freedom has always been really, really important. When I was growing up, my parents were divorced since I was 2 years old and they lived on opposite sides of the state. And so I didn't get to choose like where I went. It was like, you're getting in the car and you're going there. And I think I have a theory that that's part of the reason why I've always valued location freedom. Of like, I want to go wherever I want, whenever I want to. And in my corporate career, the first time I ever like was a digital nomad was actually because one of my colleagues at the startup we worked at was like, "Hey, I'm going to go work remotely in Argentina for a month. Like you guys are going to come with me. By the time this Google Meet is over, you're booking your flights to Argentina, like you're coming." And we could work remote from our jobs. I was based in New York, so I would go to the office, but people were based all over Canada and the US. So we were like, "All right, I guess we're going." And to me, that was the biggest hack because it was just turning cold and dark in the US. And then when I got to Argentina, it was just turning summer and warm and bright. And I'm like, oh my gosh, as someone from a cold place like Michigan, skipping winter is a really amazing thing. And you get so much more sunlight in your life. So that was my first trial experience. And like with anything, like you try it on, you're like, do I like how I feel? I do. Maybe I want to double down on this. And so I always encourage people when they're feeling stuck, when they're feeling like, I don't know about like just feeling a little bit tapped in where you are right now. It's like go on a trip. Honestly, it like just resets your entire nervous system and reminds you that the world is bigger than where you are every day of the week.
Yes. I even feel like you can kind of maybe not get as big of a benefit, but my wife and I did this when we would get bored of a place and we still were kind of tied to the Philadelphia area because of her work and at the time mine, but we would just move to a different part of like, different chunk of the
Yeah.
suburbs around. And it was just like people were like, you lived in so many places. And I was like, yeah, but it's just kind of like there's something about changing your environment, changing what you literally physically look at every day that I really do think is a hack for like changing how much you're willing to like up level your life in other places, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you were kind of changing it just to try different environments. I think it was my first really good manager that I ever had, like a year or two out of college. And she had told me about before she settled in DC, she had done what she called prototyping your life and lived in a bunch of places for a month to see where she and her husband wanted to live. And I think that was maybe the first time I had met someone who was like, oh, this is a great idea. You should absolutely do something like this. And I mean, I credit that manager with teaching me so much. Shout out Natasha. I don't think she'll listen to this, but you never know. But now I use travel as such a portal of like, who do I get to be on the other side of this 14-hour flight or whatever it is?
Yes. When we went to Paris last year, I was like very much like I wanted to go. I was like, how can I'm like, I'm not going to want to fly to Paris for just fun. I was like, it was too expensive. So I was like, well, I have a job that I could probably get clients that are there. And I jokingly say, I conned no one, but I always jokingly say to be like, I conned clients to like take me to Paris. But I got 3 people who are willing to like, wanted to shoot in Paris, willing to come to Paris and meet me there. And it's so funny, like, the flight there versus the flight home, I felt like a totally different person. And it's like timeline jumping. You can just kind of
Yeah.
really decide that you want to be or do something different just by not being in the same place.
Yeah, there's also something about hopping in a plane, like a giant metal tube. You're throttling through time and space, literally, and you're standing there like about to board the flight in the airport. You look around in 14 hours, all these people are going to be all over the world. Like, does that not just like open you up to possibilities of like, oh my gosh, the world is so big, and yet the more you travel, the smaller it gets, is my
Yep.
experience,
Yep.
which is kind of wild. But it's also why like getting out of that day-to-day routine, and especially as an entrepreneur, like you can get creative, right? Like go to a new city, host an event there, build a global brand that takes you to new places if that's a priority. And I don't know, it just getting into in-person spaces too. Obviously, your work is in person, which is like, I think if we had had a couple Zoom calls, we wouldn't have the kind of connection that we got from that
Yep.
8-hour day of like shooting
Yep.
18 million looks.
We
Um,
really did do a lot in one day.
we did a lot. I don't know how much you want to share about that, but
I am a most is most girly always, but I feel like you're right though. It's there's something about being in person with people that is really magical, and I think that it's so cool that we can build businesses that are online. That's awesome that we live in a day and age where like I
yeah.
can make money by not being in person with people, but also there's something so cool about getting to be with people. So I know you are doing retreats. When was your first retreat? Like what was the take us back in time? When did you do your
Yeah.
like you hosted your first one?
So I'll back up even before that a little bit. I started going to retreats in high school,
Wow.
way back when. And it was, I remember it was a big thing at my high school, and you had to get selected to go as a junior. And I, of course, I was like, teachers, please pick me. I was such a freaking teacher's pet. And they picked me, and then I got to go and be a leader my senior year. So I had this experience of what does it actually look like to put together a retreat experience. And it was truly like a transformational kind of spiritual inner work sort of experience.
Mm.
And so that kind of cracked me open. It was the most transformational thing I had ever done in my entire life. And early 20s, I don't think I ever went to retreats. But then in the beginning of 2025, I went to Costa Rica on a retreat thinking like, oh, great. I've always wanted to go to Costa Rica. This is perfect. And it cracked me open in a way that I had never experienced before. And I joined this mastermind where the same people essentially went on retreats every 2 or 3 months. Now, not all of them were all over the world. They were mostly in the States, but it allowed me to witness and experience what does it look like when you actually keep doing this work? Because most people are like, oh, a retreat, like that's kind of a nice to have thing. And it certainly is. It's very much a privilege to be able to go on them. But for me, I had done so much work online. I'd done so much work on myself. But there's something about standing in front of a room of people and being fully witnessed and seen in a safe container,
Yeah.
which is very rare, and allowing people to really see you. And like, yes, a trip can change you, but going on a retreat where you're in a new location, you're stepping outside of your day to day, you're really immersed in this like container where people are like, wait, I see you in your highest potential. I see you in your power. And you're doing all these different kind of activities and exercises to come back home to yourself. And then you go home like, holy shit, it actually
Yep.
is a bit of a mind fuck to even reintegrate back. And we always talk about how do you actually reintegrate after an experience like that. Sometimes it can feel really shocking to go back to your day to day when you've decided who you are and you change. So that was my real experience. About halfway through that year of going to all these retreats, I was like, I feel called to host one of these for my people. And it was a big risk for me. It was a big investment, right? To say, I'm going to book this Airbnb. I don't know if people are going to show up. And I think we all have those leaps in business. Like, I got to just book it, and I'm gonna follow through. And I ended up hosting it in Asheville, North Carolina in the fall because I wanted like fall foliage in the mountains, like beautiful kind of cabin energy, which was exactly what it turned out to be. My friend came and co-facilitated with me. I call her Mother Earth. She's like this meditation gal who just like is so deeply connected and rooted. And I have this like big expansive energy. And so together we were like the yin and the yang throughout the weekend. And my clients were like, Katy, we have seen your strategic mind. It is so nice to feel your heart.
Mm.
You you need to go bigger with this work. Like I want you to take this to more people. And I was like standing in front of the room crying like, "Oh my God, this was life-changing for me just as much as it was for my clients." And I knew I was going to do it again. And this whole year, I couldn't get out of my head like I'm moving to Portugal. I think it's got to be October. I think it's got to be in Portugal. And I just finally full sent it in June after months of being like, this idea is not going away. We're going to commit to it. And I like to host. Now I'm like, okay, why didn't I think of this before? But hosting it in a place that was a coming home for me, of a place
Yeah.
where I found this more relaxed, more regulated, more like, why am I grinding it out so hard and stressing about everything? Question. And then from that place, like I find it's always easier for me to cast a bigger vision and imagine a bigger future when I'm not so stressed out about the day to day of what's happening now. So all that to say, that's why I'm hosting another retreat this fall.
I love that. So you're doing it in Portugal. I love that. Is it like, how did you choose a location? Because I feel like knowing that you just recently moved there, a lot of my clients do retreats. And one of the conversations I hear all the time is like, okay, I want to do one, but like, how do I choose where? Because there's so many beautiful, incredible places. And I've never been to Portugal. It's on my bucket list. I feel like it would be like a kid in a candy shop because I feel like anywhere you do it would be beautiful there. Why did you choose the location you ended up picking?
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's actually a sales lesson in this, a business lesson. Well, I knew I wanted to do it in Portugal just because it was a place that was really close to my home. I had experienced so much transformation here. Like Costa Rica is also one of those places for me. And there's other places I just want to go that would be really cool. But I knew I wanted it to be, I live in Lisbon now, so I wanted it to be within distance from the Lisbon airport. Actually, AI was very helpful in sourcing specific places. And I just was like, okay, it needs to be within like 30 to 45 minutes from the airport. I want to book a retreat center that has a team basically that will help to coordinate the activities and the food. Because last time I did an Airbnb, which is really great, but then everything is totally separate. And my EA like helped to plan the whole retreat, but it's a lot of piecemeal. I'm like, this time I just want a staff on site where I'm doing my magic and they're taking care. They know the area, they know the location. So I found a retreat center that was really modular in terms of like the different spaces that you could book.
Well, that's
And they were
cool.
booked. Yeah, like I emailed all these places on like a Tuesday night at 10 p.m. One place emailed me back right away, speed to lead, and they were like, we can get on a call with you tomorrow.
Wow.
Perfect. So I hop on the call with them and they were like, well, actually, the dates that you wanted, I had kind of bookmarked two different weekends. They were like, those are booked, but we could do it a week or two later, which is getting into November. It's going to be maybe a little colder. And I was not super gung ho, but I'm like, I'll talk to them anyways. I got on the call and they were like, literally, someone had to move their retreat like this morning. So now you got the exact dates that you wanted. It was a God wink moment. It was like, you have to take this place.
Yep.
And they also have a modular thing where if I were to oversell it, I could like actually add on space and they
Oh,
take
that's
care of
awesome.
everything. They have a whole menu of like, they have all the chef on site to do all the food. They have all the food. They have a whole menu of like different activities you can pick from. So I get to, like, I now know how to create the arc of a weekend to be transformational. I got some mentoring and coaching from my good friend who is the leader of the mastermind where we went on retreats every few months. He's like an expert at retreats, so he trained me on how to do it. I did it for my last one. It was very effective. So I'm doing that playbook sort of again and bringing in more adventure to it because last time it was really like we're going to go on a hike but we're mostly like in this cabin, we're like immersed, and now it's like let's actually explore and use the fact that we're in this beautiful place to help lock in that new I like to call your limitless era, your limitless self. So it all just worked out perfectly. It was a Godwink moment. I sent them the booking because they responded quickly. That was part of it.
It is one of those things where sometimes like the faster you can get back to people.
Yeah.
I feel like I could go on a side tangent about that, but I won't. It's
The,
just it's you sometimes in business really being quick and also you being able to send it out and then being able to like respond and not being like, oh, I'll check my email later. Like you were also quick on the gun too, and so it all just made.
yeah, I was like, I'm getting this retreat booked this week. Like I'm finishing the planning, I'm launching it. Like I did everything in 1 week, basically. Not everything, but all the things I needed to just like get people in. And it's so crazy too, because the first time doing this retreat, it was a huge leap for me to do it. It was
Mm.
so stressed to put it out there. And now I'm just like, this is going to be the most fun transformational experience. I don't feel stressed at all about it. I'm just like, how lucky am I that this gets to be work? How lucky. And my clients are flying from all over the world to come. Like, it's so
And that
cool.
like just I feel like that's the most like the coolest thing to me about any kind of event. It's like people, sometimes I think in business we get in our heads around like, oh, well, I see this person selling at like 1,000-person event, or this person, has a 50-person retreat. And it's like, that's cool, but like there's still, if you sell a 10-person retreat, that means 10 people flew all over the
Yeah.
world to come be with you. And I think sometimes it's like when we compare ourselves to everybody else, it's so easy to be like, my stuff's not that cool. But it's like if I think back to like a 20-year-old version of me, like she would think my life is so cool. But we don't,
Yeah.
it's so quick to like get wrapped up in other things sometimes.
I I made a TikTok about this recently of like I think as high achieving women who've accomplished a lot, if you are a visionary, you always can see the next frontier. We're
Yep.
always working toward the next thing, and we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have that. But it's so easy to forget even 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ago, we would be like, "Holy shit, you're doing what?" And it's just like we forget that it's cool because it becomes normal. Even my best friend from growing up, she's just finished nursing grad school. So she's a nurse anesthetist. She's working a zillion hours in the hospital, and she's like, "You are living the dream life." And I'm like, I guess I am. Like, this is really, I need to appreciate this even more than I already do because there is a version of me that would be floored that this is even real.
Yep.
But
I
yeah.
wasn't going to bring this up, but it's one of my like favorite things about your photo shoot was that we shot it at where you went to college. And there was just like, I don't know if you felt it, but just like walking around, obviously I didn't go to school there, but like I could just imagine a version of you that was there that would just not even know what to do with herself if she could see what you've done, even in such a short period of time. Because, like, for me, college was a really long time ago. For you, college was a little bit closer than it is for me. And, like, look at how much you've created. Like, that was just, I don't know, there was something about that to me that I was like, how cool would it be to be able to go back in time and be like,
Yeah.
look
I
what you now live all over the world and like get to do this really cool life.
I never would have expected that, especially in college. And I remember like we're literally walking around the university, changing under your like tent, your like photo tent or whatever. I'm literally stripping down in the middle of the quad with this tent around me and just thinking like I used to come here to study for like 12 hours a day. And as I'm walking around in these beautiful gowns, these girls are like, wow, I love your dress. And I'm like, oh my God, that was me like 9 years ago. And I had a moment like that over the weekend where it's like, little did she know what was coming.
Yep.
And even as I think ahead, I'm like, in 9 years, I'll be 40, which is weird to think about. And also, 9 years is a long time. Like, there's so much that's going to come in the next 9 years. It's just crazy. But that was really cool that we did it at Michigan. And that was your idea. It was a great
I was like,
idea.
that campus is too pretty to not use.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, the shoot that we did for me, that was like the biggest. It was the first like real brand shoot I had ever done of that kind of capacity. Like, I got a stylist, I had the billion looks to do, and it was looking back at the photos. I'm like, this was such a dynamic representation of all the different sides of me.
Yeah.
And I love it because I'm like selecting these pictures based on different offers or different vibes that I'm sharing of like, this is a softer side. This is like the badass bitch side of me. This is the like, I'm in my power queen era. And I just thank you so much that we were able to capture all of that. And I remember leaving that day and being like, there is nothing that I cannot fucking do.
That's
Like,
correct. There's
I was
nothing
just
you can't
like,
do.
I am that girl. Like,
Yep.
why should I ever doubt myself again? Of course I did. But like if I can tap into that energy every day, and that is the power of the shoots that you do too. It's not just like, oh, you're gonna get some brand photos. It's like you are actually getting physical representation of you in that new identity.
Yep. And
Worth its weight in gold.
I think it's also that like there is such a when I think about the people that I know who do brand photos and I love them dearly, but like other photographers, like I've got so many friends who are photographers, but I think a lot of them it's about like getting the right shot. And I've always had a very just different point of view of to me it's like how can we play like I go in with ideas and concepts or things I think would be cool to do based on outfits or things clients have said to me, but it very much just feels like play to me. And I love when clients are so willing to like, hey, you're going to change in this tent in the middle of a quad, but like it just it gives us this opportunity to really create something that's not boring. And I'm also
Yeah.
allergic to, like settling for something just because it's like, oh, that looks professional. I'm like, I'm not interested in professional. I don't think most people are all that interested in professional. I think we're interested in having like crazy, delusional, impactful lives. And like,
Mm.
you're not going to have that by being boring or just settling for whatever the norm is. Like there is so much you can do that's far beyond that. And I love that. You had mentioned to me that doing this retreat has allowed you to have more of a sense of play in your business. And somebody
Mhm.
who loves play, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I think most people, most business coaches wouldn't have looked at like my priority list and been like, who's to retreat right now? There's no world that someone would have recommended that to me. It was something that I felt, especially even I went through a season after moving abroad and I was just kind of like resetting my life in a lot of ways. And I went through a period where I felt like after not super long after we had our session, I felt like my spark had gone out a little bit. And I was like, let me just get my spark back. And for some reason, I just couldn't get this off my mind of like launch a retreat. I'm like, it doesn't really seem like the time. I need to focus. And it wouldn't go away. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to just do this because I feel so excited about it. And as part of my human design, I have to follow what lights me up and what excites me. And it was wild because within 1 week of me being like, I'm so excited about this, I basically planned the entire thing. I launched it to my clients. I built a wait list. I sold out the first 5 spots 7 days after I launched it. And I'm like, okay, interesting. The fact that I moved on something that felt called to do and creating it, marketing it, talking about it feels like play because it's so also the whole thing we just talked about with travel, it's so embodied for me. I've been to so many retreats. I use travel as this identity portal. One of my friends is coming to co-lead it with me. And I'm like, with the two of us, like, there is no way you can show up to this experience and have a bad time or not get what you need out of it. Yeah. Like, I just have so much conviction in creating it. And I allowed myself to just rip it. I'm like, and a retreat is not something that you're like, I can kind of half-ass this. I was like, let me use this deadline as a time to rise. And it gets to be fun, not this stressful pressure of like, I need to fill this retreat, but like, it's going to fill because I decided it so, because I know it's amazing, because I'm going to keep talking about it that way.
And because it's making you excited. I think that that's the genuine, when I look at like the online space, whether it's coaches or people who own brick and mortar stores, like any kind of business, like what's the thing that I see in the way for a lot of people is they're doing the shoulds, not the I want. And it's like, well, I'll do what I want after I do what I should. And obviously there are circumstances where what I'm about to say does not apply. But like, I think a lot of times if you just chased more of what you actually want and you close the gap between this is the thing I really desire and this is the thing that like, this is how I get there, just like idea and implement it right away. If you can close that gap, things move so much faster. When I look at my clients who are the most successful, they have an idea at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. And if it's not completed and out to be sold by Tuesday night, it's out and completed by Friday. Like it is something that movement of like, they just chase what makes them excited. And then people are excited to buy from them because the excitement is contagious. And it's like, your fear is contagious. Shame is contagious. Well, why not like, let's play with like excitement. Let's play with play. Like that's way more fun to have somebody be, something be contagious over. Like we might as well do the things we actually want to do as business. Isn't that not the whole point? Like, but.
And I couldn't agree more. And like, that's a big part of the work I do is like, how do we drop the should? Because there's a million ways that it gets to work. And when the one that you're most lit up about is probably the best way. And people forget that when they're looking for like the next strategy to work, it's like, well, part of the reason it worked for that person is because they were excited about it and they believed in it and it lit them up. And they were, there's tactical things that we need to learn and like psychology to put into your business. And there's a game of it all. But also there's a billion things. There's a billion ways that it can work. And so I think that's one of the main things I end up doing with my clients is like, I can hear the difference between the incongruence of what you say that you want and the pathway that you're choosing to get there. And it's like, well, we can just remove that incongruence. And when you have this coherence between what you want and what you're doing to get there and what you believe about yourself, then it all comes together faster.
Yes, Katie, preach on that. That's so true though. It's so true.
And it's sneaky. It's sneaky when we're like, well, I want this, but later that will be ready. Like one of my clients is obsessed with her dog and she's building a marketing consulting business, but she also made for fun a dog Instagram and it's blowing up. She's like, I'm having so much fun marketing my dog somehow. And she's a marketing brain. She's so creative. She's like, someday I want to do pet marketing or brand marketing for pet brands. And I'm like, someday is tomorrow. It's today. Because why are we not seeing that this is lighting you up because you're so passionate about it? Like, can we just port that over?
I think it's that like I don't remember who said it. I might have been like a Brene Brown kind of person, but it was like should and shame are the same word, just spelled differently. Probably like I was like, that sounds like a Brene Brown. I don't like, I could be attributing it to the wrong person, but I was like, it's that I should do this marketing thing, but I really am excited by the dog thing, but I'll do the should because I feel like that's where like I'm supposed to be. And it's like, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. That is part of being an adult and growing up and owning a business. But like oftentimes like none of like it's all changeable. Like I've
Yeah.
had 7 iterations of my brand and all of them have been successful. And if I would have stuck with the first one and never changed, that would have been great. But like I was bored, so I changed where I went. And like some people, they don't want the change and that they'd rather have the same career for forever. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people like me are like, and now I'm bored. So like I'm gonna change what kind of photography I do. It's
Yeah.
there's no right or wrong pathway, but I think we get stuck in our heads that there is.
Yeah. And we look for the answers outside of ourselves as to what is the right way. And I like to call that good girl conditioning, which is like we're looking for the validation. We're looking for the gold stars, which is what school literally teaches us to do. It's
Yep.
like, did I get a B plus or did I get an A? And my teacher in high school used to call me a grade whore because I would always argue for like the 98% or the 99 versus the 97 that she gave me. She's like, you're such a grade whore. Like, who cares? It's fine.
No
And
one's gonna know what grade
she
you
was my
made, but
favorite
like,
teacher. But it's like this idea that we're literally trained, the answers are outside of ourselves. You need to get approval from everyone else. And even when we're entrepreneurs, like that still comes up in sneaky ways where it's like, no, but they know better than me. And at the end of the day, yes, there's things you can learn from people, but you got to tune in with yourself and how am I designed? What lights me up? And ultimately, the best way to have success in your business is to work on the things that matter to you that you want to keep working on. Because if you don't like what you're working on, it's like I should do this because I'm good at it. Like, okay, well, you're going to burn out of that and want to burn it all down.
right.
Ask me how I know. Like,
And then to a point you made the other day on Instagram, like we think that feeling of like, oh, I did what I was supposed to do is like unique to us, or like, oh, I feel shame around my business and that's like somehow unique to us. And then all of a sudden when you share something, it's like either you get one of two responses, a bunch of people who are like, oh my gosh, I also resonate with that, or people who are like, ew, gross, fuck you. And it's like, well, those people clearly are not your people anyways. So like, why do we care what they think? And I was like, it is so true. Like when you have the bravery to like actually not let shame be the driving force, like you realize how many people have the same experience as you do. And you're not, none of us are all that unique. We are very unique, but we're not like, we all experience the shame.
yeah.
We all experience the like, I should, all of that.
Yeah, and the problem is that we look at everybody else's brand and we see these beautiful photos that some amazing photographer took of them and we think, wow, this person must never doubt themselves and they must always be feeling that on fire. And then behind the screen, it's like we're we're laying on the couch like, hair in a messy bun. Like that's not representative of every single day for everyone.
Yep.
And the more we can normalize, I like to call it the messy middle, when you're a visionary, when you're growing, you're always in the messy middle because you're not content for very long. We're obsessed with change. I'm like, oh, I feel comfortable in this country. Okay, I guess I'll move to a new one now. Or like, I feel comfortable at this stage. Nah, I guess I better host a retreat or a bigger event and then get uncomfortable again. It's like when you're
Yep.
addicted to that growth edge, you're always in the messy middle of something. And so if you aren't willing to be seen in the messy middle, then you're not going to get to the end of that leap and onto the next great adventure messy middle. So
Yep.
you have to be willing to be seen. And that's, I think, the hardest thing for people.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And I can say from working with like wildly successful people that, the amount of times I've been told like, oh, I saw you shot so and so. She's like, must be the most like confident person I've ever, like, she must be the most confident person ever. And like, I never want to like make like pop someone's bubble, but it's like, these are real women who have real insecurities. Like I've never met a woman who does not have some aspect of her life that she's self-conscious of because we're just there's always room to grow in that, and it doesn't matter how much money you make. There's always things about us that's like, oh,
Yeah.
I want a different body. I want a slightly different this. I'm self-conscious about my, like, I have one woman who's love her to death, but she hates her part of her hair, like how her hair parts. And I'm like, I look at her and I'm like, you're so successful. You're freaking stunning. You have this beautiful family, all this money. And I'm like, and you're worried about your hair part. But like that's we're all conflicted by it. Like, you know what I mean? None of us get out of that alive, that human experience of
Yeah.
there's always something. And the more we can, I think, just be honest about the fact that we're all evolving, we're all learning to love ourselves more, we're all growing and changing,
Yeah.
the better
And
everybody is.
I mean, I can go back to this all day, but that's also the power of getting in the room with people
Yes.
in a space where it's encouraged to share where you're really at. Because I think you can get in rooms with people and you can learn a lot from people sharing their wins and their strategies and how they got there. Like that's a different kind of a room. There's like a room where it's like, we're going to remove the masks now. And then we see we're all freaking human.
Yeah.
And then from that space, it's like, I see you in your power, even though you feel really vulnerable. And you see me in my power, even though I feel really vulnerable. And holy shit, does that amplify the power? Because
Yeah.
then our power doesn't come from having it all together and sharing our wisdom and our strategies and our success. Our power actually comes from letting down the mask and being seen as we actually are. And then it's like you're unshameable.
That, and I feel like if you can find those spaces with those kinds of women, it stops becoming about the money, where it's like, you're all equals, where it's like, okay, you might be not be making the same money as the person next to you, but you still have wisdom that you can share. And it's
Mm,
like, to me, that I think is the coolest version of mentorship, of coaching, of masterminds, retreats, is where it's like, I've been on documented many a retreat where it's like I can tell that the person hosting it, yes, they're facilitating, yes, they are leading, but they are willing to sit down, and if somebody else has something to like add to an experience, to like not need to be the loudest and smartest and brightest voice in a room. And you to me are one of those people where it's like we all have things, we all can learn from each other. You can learn from your clients just as much as they can learn from you, and like that to me is true leadership. And I love working with those kinds of women because I'm like, that's, I think, how it should be. We all can
yeah.
learn from each other.
Yeah. One of my old coaches used to call that wisdom meets wisdom kind of a
Mhm.
room. And I think it also, you're right, it really does come down to the leader. It's also really hard as a leader if you have this internal story of like, I always need to be together and I can't have these human moments and I can't show that side of me or it's weakness or I don't have the authority. And my clients always tell me like, Katie, we no offense to you, but we love when you hear this when we hear that you're struggling with something because it just makes people human. And that's why on the internet, when people share these vulnerable things, we feel drawn to them because why would you share something vulnerable if you weren't in your own power doing that? And of course, there's a way not to trauma dump and to share the lesson, right? But all in all, if you're a leader and it's like, hey, I always say to my clients, it's like, I'm in this work with you. I'm just sharing what's working for me, what I've learned being a couple steps ahead on the journey. I don't pretend to have life all figured out. That would be so stressful for me. Like,
So
I
true.
definitely don't. But here's what's working for me.
Yeah. One of the things that I loved that you did was you did 100 days of posting a video every day. And I feel like it's the same thing we're talking about, where it's like you were just very much sharing the messy middle. You had made a commitment to doing something. What made you want to do that? And what did you learn in doing it?
That is a great question. So, I was not posting on Instagram at all before I started that challenge. I built my whole first business on LinkedIn. People are always like, how did you do that? There's a whole different way of doing content on LinkedIn. And I started my Instagram actually at a conference last year, and everyone following me, it was like 100 women, were people that were super successful creators and business owners. So I was like, oh my God, my followers are not like some average Joe Schmo people. Like, if I'm going to start posting, I felt really nervous about it. So I started on TikTok to like start yapping and practicing. And I was like, you know what? I want to commit to 100-day challenge because I am not naturally a person who just is like consistency. I'm not motivated by streaks that much. And it's just not natural for me. So I was
Same.
like, if I'm going to do it on TikTok, why don't I at least just cross post to Instagram? Even though everyone says the algorithm's completely different, you shouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. There was one guy that I followed who was like, fuck it, you just repost. Like, it saves you so much time. I'm like, what do I have to lose? I'm not posting anything. So that is how I started posting on Instagram in February, like not that long ago. And there were so many days where I would procrastinate until the end of the day and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in my pajamas and I need to re-record because I'm so tired. I never planned a single video. I don't know how to make a script for a video. I literally would sometimes think of like the first thing to say. But what that process did for me was I actually followed through on 100 days. I did not miss a day, which is like probably the
Wow.
first time I've ever done something like that, other than like the workout plan that I did when I first started my business. That gave me the confidence to start my business. Long story short, just doing a workout plan for 8 weeks. But I did it every single day. And now some days I didn't exactly record the video that perfect day, whatever, pretty much. And I shared things even when I was crying, even when I was like a little unwell that day, like here's how I'm navigating it. And funny enough, those were some of the things that people really got to know me through. And they were, if I had been censoring, what should I post? Is this going to convert anyone? Well, I would have never posted those things. And to be totally honest, it's still hard for me to post some of those things now because I don't have the forcing function of I have to do it every day. But the whole purpose of my challenge, we forgot to say this, is it was called Truth Before Proof. I had to remove all of the conditions, all the excuses of why not to do it. And so it was just share your truth today. And I said, truth before proof behind the scenes of my quantum leap, AKA like I'm quantum leaping, I'm claiming it. This is just what's going on in my world. And it was kind of bold, but I just
Very
had to
bold.
share my truth. It was like, I just have to share my truth. And that just means be honest, show up as you are. It removed the conditions of I need to look a certain way or talk about one topic for 100 days straight. And I did it. And it gave me so much confidence that I can follow through, even through some hard seasons during that time. Um, yeah.
I think that's one of the pieces that a lot of younger, maybe not actually in age, but newer entrepreneurs is it's like you kind of can get lost in there's so many things you can quote unquote should do. Again, I don't always really buy into any of that, but I think that if you can commit to whatever version of something it is, whether it's an email
Yeah.
a day or like pick something that you're like, I'm actually going to follow through with this and like to do it, you learn a skill set very quickly by repetition. And one of my personal pet peeves is I can't stand when people, I can tell that their videos are scripted. I hate it. Shout out to people who make a lot of money doing that. That's amazing. I personally, I'm like, scroll, the Yap challenge. I can tell when people have like watched the Yap challenge videos and like have adopted all of it. I'm like, learn stuff from people, but like, don't make her personality your personality. I can't stand that. But you get better at talking by talking. You get better at writing by writing. You get better at doing by doing. And it's like there is something really, very fundamental. It's like sometimes the easiest stuff that actually I think really moves people forward in business isn't the most it's not fancy funnels. It's just repetition of the same tasks over and over again. And what I love about you is like I can tell that you know what you're talking about when you talk because there isn't a script. You're not somebody that was like, okay, let me learn how to perfectly sell in how I speak. You're like, I'm just going to talk. And now when you do sell things, I'm like, you sound genuine. You sound real. It's not some
Mm,
like, first I'm going to say this thing and then this thing and then this thing. And there, again, there is there's those things can really work for people. But I like buying from
mm.
people, listening to people that are just genuine in what they're saying, that they believe in what they're saying. And, I watched your videos maybe 2 months into you doing it. I feel like I started following you in April, May, end of March, something like that.
Yeah.
So like I kind of saw a little bit of but like the beginning era towards the end, and then it's like now I'm like anytime you post a video, it's a different woman than who you were in the
Mm.
beginning. And like how cool is that you just did something over and over again, even though probably you were like, this is so stupid. Like I'm sure there were days where you're like, I don't want to do this, but you just
Oh,
kept doing it.
there were so many days that I didn't want to do it. And it was also the reason why I committed to it was because I said this has to become part of my identity. Like I wanted to be the kind of person who could just open my camera and record and not worry about it.
Yeah.
And there was some brute forcing in that process. And I'm so glad that I did that because it really was this experiment of like rather than me censoring what I think is going to resonate, I'm going to let people tell me. And you find your voice by using it. When I backstock myself, I'm like, I do talk about the same shit. Like sometimes I'm like, what am I talking about? And then I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like I've been talking about this same thing. When I stalk myself backwards on LinkedIn like years ago, I'm like, I've been basically saying the same core essence for a long time. Of course, the marketing message changes a little bit and maybe the focus. But it was like you find your voice by using it. And I always tell people like you can't refine until you actually get going. Like once you get the reps in, then you can refine. And I certainly could have added in like a let me analyze and refine better, but I didn't really do that. And I think there's validity to learning the structure of like how to do hooks and all that stuff. But I have really no desire to write an entire script. Yeah, I do want to get better at hooks and learning some of the credibility markers and things that people put in because your videos do need to be seen in the first however many seconds. But
Yep.
also, if you can't just talk and you have to have a script for everything, then yeah, like how do I know where you're getting this information from?
Or that you even believe any of it. And like, unfortunately, I have witnessed in person many people where it's like there's just just regurgitating things that they've gotten off of the internet, off of AI. And it's like that's you can sell, these people can make money, but it's like it's going to require so much more effort than something that's like an embodied true feeling of what you actually think and believe.
Yeah, I also think if you're selling something that's dynamic, like if you're selling a course and no one's getting interactive coaching from you, then like whatever. But if people are going to be coached by you in real time, I don't have a script for what to say back to my clients when they share something, really vulnerable and someone's like, "Hey, how do I navigate this?" There's no script for that. Like
Mhm.
you have to be able to have conversations with people. It kind of just goes back to that and also trusting your voice, right? Like you find your voice by using it, and if you're AIing it all up, like you're not going to find it.
No, and I think it's also that people, how do I want to say this? People don't they think that there's this need of like, oh, well, if I let me have my coach write my content, let me have AI write my content, that therefore that will give me credibility. And it's like, if we think that the robots or other people are what are going to give us credibility, then like respectfully, you're going to need to fix that belief before you're going to really go far. Because like that,
Yeah.
there's
And
nothing wrong with having a coach. Like I've had my coach many a time be like, let me look at this landing page and like, there's another set of eyes is so helpful. But like I believe that I'm good at what I do when I'm handing her that, not like validate everything about this and
yeah.
tell me like how to say it. It's like, but I think that sometimes
Yeah.
that's where the internet has
I,
gone.
I've yeah, I've also heard that, sometimes people can be like these big presences and they're in being a creator, right? And then you meet them in person and you're like, who is this? Like it's kind of like a character, right? And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, that's also why in person is so valuable. You actually, it's like, who is building a real brand that people want to fly across the world and be in person with them and get to know them and actually feel seen? And not everyone who's building a big brand can do that at this point because they're not building it off of who they really are. It's like a performed version of themselves.
Yeah. And I also think that if you are somebody who maybe grew up with a lot of that like conditioning of performing, I think that one of the best things you can do is to do in-person things in smaller groups, like not big, massive conferences where there's just tons of people, but like smaller, more intimate spaces is a really great way to kind of like force yourself out of that pattern. I think,
Hmm.
depending on how you grew up, whether it was religion or family dynamic, sometimes there is a little bit of that conditioning of like, there's certain things that you have to like almost perform an identity. And like, I've watched in real time when I've been a part
Mm.
of retreats where it's like the process of
Yeah.
kind of that undoing of that, because it's like, oh, I can't do that here amongst these people, and how deeply uncomfortable that makes people. And also the transformation that comes from that. It's like,
Hmm.
you're going to get real. I remember a coach one time saying at a retreat, she's like, you're all going to hate me at some point this weekend. I want you to know I'm totally okay with that. My
Yeah.
goal is that on the other side of that, that like the transformation is worth whatever, you know, feelings you have about how uncomfortable you are, that on the other side of it. And like, I've never been to a retreat where it's like, that's not the case. It's like, you go through these kind of uncomfortable conversations or moments. And on the other side, you're like, that was so worth it. But in the middle of it, you're like, can I quit now? Can I leave? Is there a flight out right now that I can get on?
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's also a really big difference in performing something as art, as like, oh, there's a side of me. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
walking around in a big leather jacket and sunglasses every day, like I did in our shoot, and like stepping into this new version of myself. That there's like an element of performance, but it's not performance from a should. Like, I need to put on this mask and show up as this version of myself so that other people approve me. It's like, this is my expression, this is my art. That's a really different kind of performance. So I just felt called to like
Yes. Yes.
clarify that.
Because I do think there is a piece in a lot of times with content around like, oh, I should look like this. And it's like, well, no, like if you're not somebody who, loves a power suit, don't wear it. Like I loved that we didn't really do like a typical power suit for you, because I don't really think that's an expression at this moment in your life that felt you, but also like you wore a ginormous orange dress. Which to some people it might be like, well, that's a costume. It's like, no, it was a version of you that like you really love. And like how fun is it that like you have a job where you get to make content and get to explore parts of yourself that maybe if you worked in a corporate job, you probably wouldn't have the opportunities to do that. There is such a difference between that, like I'm getting to do something that like I really love that maybe does feel a little bit like a performance because it's a putting on something that's not my everyday versus like I should do this and therefore I have to act to a certain
Yeah.
level of people.
It's the same like with, and part of the reason I had that big orange dress, because I was like, this feels like legacy, expansion, future self. And there's an element of saying, who do I desire to be and be known as? And it's not performing that version of you in a false way. It's like, how can I step into that and meet my edges and do the kind of slightly more uncomfortable things sometimes and react differently than I normally would? And maybe there's an element of acting or performance of like, let me act like this version of myself that does feel a little uncomfortable, but not from a place of I need to do this to be accepted by other people. I should do this or I should want this. It's like, no, I do want this. And so I'm going to get it.
And then what I think is so fun about my job is when I get to work with people, or even if I don't work with them ever again and I see them work with a different photographer, because like I'm not one of those people that like, I don't know, gets butthurt about that. I'm like, there's so many other things like to be upset about. That's not one of them. But like when I could see like, oh, I saw that version of you, at this time. And then, the next photo shoot or the next whatever, like big event in your life, it's like, I can see that person is even played out even more. Like you're even more
Mm,
comfortable in that. Like I have one client who I've shot now, I don't know, probably a dozen times. And there's one, I won't say her name, but we have a nickname version of her. It's a play on her actual name. And I'm like, oh, and that's this almost like this alter ego that like the
yeah.
more we've shot with her, the more of that version of her has come out. And now sometimes our photo shoots, I'm like, the entire photo shoot is that version of her. And it's like fun to look back at the beginning of like, it felt a little bit like dress up the first time when it was like, this is not an outfit I would normally wear, but I'm going to put it on because there's something in that feels so exciting to me. To circle back around to what we said kind of in the beginning of like, follow those things that even if you're like, this doesn't make sense, just like does wearing an orange dress make sense on paper for your brand? I'm sure probably not, but it makes sense for you. Does having a retreat right now, was that maybe the quote right next move? Maybe to some people no, but it's like when you follow the things that actually excite you, it really does allow you to continue evolving in a way that people I think actually enjoy watching, which makes selling I think easier too, because it's like,
Mm,
oh, I've gotten to see her, this version of her, and then this version of her, and then this version of her, and as those versions have evolved, it's like, wow, she really just is that person now. And maybe not
mm.
all the time, but like who knows, maybe one day you'll be in like a ginormous orange gown running through a castle.
Oh
I
my
could see you
gosh,
doing that.
maybe. And it's funny that even like the shoot that we did, it maybe wasn't like the most, this makes sense to do. I was like, I feel called to do this. I'm stepping into this new level. I'm committing to this bigger vision that I have. And I'm so glad we did it. And I hired a stylist and I loved the outfits so much. I kept so many of them. And I didn't keep the big orange dress because I was like, when am I going to wear this?
No.
But, and when I returned it at the store, they were like, um, why are you returning this? They were a little sketched out that I had two big orange dresses in different sizes to return. But it was like this, now I have a lot of these clothes. And then when I wear them, I'm like, oh yeah, I wore this in the photo shoot.
Yeah.
And now I just get to bring that energy with me all the time. And people always now compliment me on my style. One of my friends was like, I need your stylist. I'm like, yes, you do. She did a good job.
She did and I felt like that's also too, where it's like expression is such a big part of owning a brand. And like, there's so many different avenues you go down. That's always for me where I'm like bring way too many outfits. I probably should calm down, but I probably never will. Because I'm like, I want there to be like no human that is one dimensional is interesting. I would also
Mm,
argue that I've never met a one-dimensional human. I think the closest I could get is my dad. He has like very little personality. But, like most people have so many different sides to them. And like when I think of my favorite people, like I could tell you so many different things about them that all don't make sense, but it's why I love them. Your clients want to feel the same way too. And I think you do that so beautifully of just kind of
yeah.
like your page isn't, you show off your travel, you show off all these different aspects of you in a way that makes you interesting.
Oh, thank
And
you.
also somebody that like it doesn't feel like, oh, like Katy has a master plan of like I'm going to put this kind of content on Monday and then this kind of content Tuesday. It just feels like it's all part of an ecosystem that obviously sells for you. Obviously people want to work with you. You have a beautiful community of clients, and that just to me makes sense. So I wanted to say that.
Oh, thank
um
you.
when it comes
I
to this retreat, tell people like what are the details, sell it to us. Tell the people case
All
I have
right.
any listeners who
All
want to
right.
come.
Are you down to close your eyes really quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so listeners, if you're driving, do not do this. Close your eyes for a moment. And I just want you to imagine, take a big deep breath in and sigh it all out. And I just want you to imagine that you are waking up, you hear the sound of the birds, you slide the sliding glass door, you hear that shh, you smell the fresh coffee brewing, you grab a cup and you go and sit by the pool and you pull out your journal and you're just like, what is there for me to learn today? Who do I get to become? You're kind of looking at the vision that you cast yesterday. You're getting ready to go on a little seaside adventure, and you just feel held and taken care of and supported. And like, wow, I flew all the way across the world, and this was so much better than I could have even imagined. And now you can open your eyes. And just that kind of an energy is what we're going for. So it's called Becoming Limitless, the Portugal retreat. It's 5 days, 4 nights in Portugal, like 30 minutes outside of Lisbon, right near this big national park near the coast. And it's this energy of actually allowing yourself to like be held and supported. I think as business owners, as ambitious women, we are always doing the holding. We're holding everything together for our clients, for our people, for our families. It's like, just come and like stop holding everything and let us hold you and be supported. And then from that energy, you really get to like let go of some of the constriction, the holding on, the gripping, the scarcity, the stress, the overperforming, as we talked about, to actually come back to the truth of who you are, which is this limitless soul having a human experience, and build the next 12 months of your vision from that really embodied, expansive place. So I'll pause there.
I love this. I love this. I think that to me, my favorite, again, not that my opinion matters at all, but I love retreats where it's not come and learn this business skill. Not that there's not anything wrong with those, but to me, I feel like you said, there's so much in our businesses where like we are the ones responsible. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, like you've said, are often high level women who are just overachievers, and like there's just not a lot of spaces for people to really get to take all that responsibility off and just be and see what comes when you are in a state of being. So
yeah, and it's not like, oh, let's just lay here and like
right.
be, it's like designed for transformation. And also as part of that transformation, as we talked about, it's play, it's adventure, it's like letting out that inner child. And I have some surprises of like doing things that don't make sense. So kind of breaking that good girl conditioning. And to me, it's just so special to be able to create these kinds of experiences. My clients are freaking amazing and they're all coming. They're like excited to meet the new people who aren't my clients yet. And I also get to bring Kiki Neeg, who is a subconscious expansion mentor for millionaires. And she has changed my life and working with her one-on-one. And I'm like, how freaking cool that we get to do this retreat together and bring her magical, deep, spiritual, crazy subconscious work into the room as well. So if you are interested in this, you can check out, I don't know if you're going to put the link or just
I
DM me
will.
on Instagram. Yeah.
I will be putting it
It's,
in the bio of the show notes for this.
yeah, October 21st through 25th in Portugal.
And like, how would somebody not want to come hang out with you?
I
I
don't
want to hang out
know.
with you, but I will be shooting another retreat during it. Otherwise, I would be all over it because I feel like there aren't a lot of spaces where people, like I said, get to just there's not an agenda of, okay, by the end of the weekend, I'm going to have learned how to build a funnel or whatever it is. It's really about, like you said, expanding and being limitless. And I love
Yeah.
that. We end every podcast episode with a bit of a crazy rapid round. I know people either love or hate these. I love them. I think they're fun whenever I listen to podcasts because I just feel like sometimes you don't get to know the person and some of their, maybe weird
I like
things. So
them.
you can answer, your answer can be as long or short as you'd like. There are no right or wrong answers. I have like a giant list and I randomly select some of them,
Okay.
minus the last question. The last question is the same for everybody. Okay. So we're gonna go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm just gonna top of mind is like people being really rude to waiters or just in general to people. I think that's a common one.
Yeah, I would agree. What is like your like comfort meal? If you're having like a bad day or like what would be like your favorite comfort meal? Somewhere you can go
Okay.
eat somewhere or cook it, whatever, however you want to answer it.
Top of mind, a bar in Brooklyn, New York. You sit at the bar, you order a dirty martini, filthy, a Caesar salad, crisp, cold romaine with the Parmesan, and a juicy, juicy burger and fries with the aioli on the side. There's a specific place in Brooklyn I'm thinking of that I can't remember the name, but that is like the most iconic New York meal that I would get.
I was gonna say that is pretty close to Jordan's favorite comfort meal. Caesar salad, burger, French fries. Except hers is not a dirty martini, it would be an old fashioned.
And if not a dirty
Um,
martini, could also be a crisp Diet Coke. That's the
mm,
other like non-drinking version.
love that. What what is your favorite thing that your business has afforded in your life, whether it's an item or experience or however you want to answer that?
Ooh, I would say, I mean, the opportunity to both create rooms like this, create rooms where you're like, just your heart is exploding. And by the end of it, you're just like, I don't even know what we just went through together, but this is incredible. And to be able to join those rooms where I'm the person in the room, receiving that experience. I think I've always been a personal development junkie, and I didn't realize that like by being a coach, you get to basically make that your job as part of it. So amazing. And this is the right path for me.
I love that answer. I love that. Yeah, it is a little bit of like you get to be a self-improvement junkie. That's very true.
And not from
Oh,
like a learning, but from a how do I actually use this to grow as a person, to create something, to build something that matters to me. It's just the coolest thing ever that this gets to be work. I said that on a program I was leading last week. I'm like, you guys, you can make anything your work. Like you guys paid me to be here. And like this is so fun for me. Like they're like, wait, yeah, you're right. I should be able to go do the things I want to do.
yes, we get paid to evolve. We get paid to like there are people that pay me for my thoughts or pay me for a skill set that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive is one of my
Yes, I
favorite
love it.
clients says.
I love
Uh,
that.
since you are a travel nut, window or aisle seat?
I'll always. And if it's one of those planes with a middle section, choose the middle section aisle because the other people will know each other and they won't have to make you get up to go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's a good. Love
If you
that.
need tips for sleeping on red eyes, I have also figured that out on
I can
economy.
sleep on a plane that is like if I was being asked like a random fact about myself, I can't sleep anywhere. I can't sleep at night like in my bed. It's very comfortable and there's a very expensive mattress. But I can sleep on a Jordan has a spank bank that one day I'll let her rip on my account and just post. It's just me sleeping mask, headphones, conked out. I can't like I said, can't sleep in a bed, but I can sleep on an airplane. I don't know
Oh,
what
good
that
for
says.
you.
Okay, if you're gonna walk out on a massive stage, like thousands of people, what is your walkout song if it could be anything?
Oh, oh my God. I don't have a good answer for this, but that's a great question. I feel like I need to look at my Spotify.
Okay, I'll let you put a pin in it as long as you promise to send it to me, and I will put that song to your reel that I'm gonna make with our from a little bit of our content. Deal?
Okay. Okay. Yes, I need to think about this.
Okay. I want you to shout out one or two people that you're totally obsessed with right now. They can be clients, people you admire, random influencers, anybody, family members. Give us some people. Shout out some people that you love.
Okay. I'm going to shout out Kiki Meeg, who I just mentioned. She's coming to my retreat with me. Kiki and I have been working together. She knows like everything about my life. We've been working together one-on-one for a really long time, and she's a great friend of mine. And we finally get to meet in person in September at Tony Robbins in Germany, which we're so excited about. But Kiki's work is amazing, and I think she needs to be even more blown up.
I love that. I love that.
That's
I love that
person
you guys
one.
have become like, I love that you guys have become such good friends and you've never met in person. Isn't like, again, what a time to be alive that we live in a world where we get to like know that
Yeah.
much about other people and you've never met each other in person.
A lot of my friends are like that. Actually, another one of my friends, we met in a most of my friends are from masterminds, honestly. My other friend, Olivia Tati, I'm gonna shout her out. She's my business bestie. We met in a mastermind, voice noted every day for 6 months, and then we started hanging out in person. We lived in Costa Rica for 7 weeks together earlier this year. I just went to visit her in Italy. We just did a collab post. She is iconic in every way. She's an expander for me and like a best friend. So shout out Olivia. If you want to build your wealth through real estate or just step into like your most expansive time and year, you got to follow Olivia Tati.
I love
Yeah.
that. If you could trade lives with any living celebrity for a day, who would you trade lives with?
I don't know that much about the details of celebrity lives, to be honest.
Or like just like
Um,
any person that's like famous, like any doesn't have to be like or a really cool person.
Hmm. It would be cool to be Tony Robbins for a day and see what his life is like.
Oh, there's-
I mean, that's really random, but I feel like Tony Robbins would be a pretty cool person to be for a day.
Yeah,
Also, Amanda Francis,
that makes
Gabby
sense.
Gabby Bernstein, like all those people. Yeah.
Yeah, Amanda Francis is my like. How you did 100 days of posting every day. I'm starting in September, 100 days to try to see if Amanda Francis will hire me because my name is in fact also Amanda Francis, and I'm putting this on the podcast so people can hold me accountable to it.
Oh, yeah.
She is the
So
reason I know what the
my
coaching
friend
industry is.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, my friend Olivia that I just mentioned was in her mastermind for a while. And so I'd be like asking Olivia a question. She's like, let me ask Amanda. She'd be like, my friend has this question. And I'm like, wow, Amanda's coaching me through the telephone here.
I love that. Yeah, she literally, I did not. I have like a sticky note on my wall that says manifesting working with Amanda Francis because happen to
Love.
have the same exact legal name. And I was like, that's what are the odds? And also, I would not know the coaching world existed if it weren't for her. So
That's amazing.
love
She's
that.
great.
What is something that you're currently obsessed with where you currently live? So, like, if somebody were to come to Lisbon, where would like a
Hmm.
coffee shop, a restaurant, anything, place they should go visit? Tell us something about where you live.
Yeah, so my park near my house is called Estrella, Jardim de Estrella. Hopefully I say that correctly. Basically, it's like a hidden gem of Lisbon where it's like it has all these plants from all over the world, like these big Brazilian plants, and it is just feels like you're kind of walking through this nature jungly thing in the middle of the city, and it's kind of underrated. It also has the best spots for laying on the grass and just chilling, and it's such a vibe. So that is my go-to place. I go there pretty much every day.
I love that. What's
Yeah.
one thing you want to become better at?
Yeah, big videos. Um,
You do
yeah,
not. That is
probably.
not something you really need to improve that much on. I feel like you're really good at them.
Well, yeah, but what I'm trying to get a little bit better at is like the hook and the
Yeah,
retention piece, just so more people can see them because I have a lot of amazing things to say, but I'm still learning like that aspect of social media of like yeah,
yeah,
essentially the growth piece. Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, thing videos. You're like, no, more. Yeah.
I was like, because I feel like that you are good at, but I also do understand that like there is the piece of social media where it's like, yeah, okay, you have to give the algorithms a little bit of what they want.
Yeah.
It's like a hungry cat that you have to feed every day. Just a little
Yeah,
bit.
to find new people, basically. I want to get better at finding new people because
Yeah,
I've gotten a lot of followers from like chatting with people and networking and going to events and like I want to get better at growing from the content versus just like nurturing and going
I
from there.
totally feel that. Totally feel that. Okay, final question. It's a question I ask everybody, and you can answer however you want. Where do you think your power is currently begging you to play?
That's a good one. Okay, where it's begging you to play.
Hmm.
I think it is begging me to play with even more, I would say like ball to the wall commitment of just seeing myself on a more everyday basis as the version of me who was in our photo shoot. And it's like, that was me. Like I did that. That was me in my full power. And actually, if I could wake up every day and be like, yes, I am her, would I move through the world differently? Yeah.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
like, how can we tap into that every day and not just on the photo shoot day once or twice a year?
Yeah. I love that. I love that. When that phrase came out of my mouth, her power is begging her to play. I was talking about a client of mine whose podcast episode I recorded last week. I was like, oh, I literally looked at Jordan. I was like, that's a phrase. I was like, I should trademark that. It's like that is the underpinning of so many things, and I think it's so cool how many ways our power wants us to play. And I love getting to ask people that because
That's a great
the answers
question.
the answers are always good. The answers are always good.
Yeah.
I am so happy that we got to spend this time chatting and talking about all the things. And I hope that people have loved this conversation. I don't know how they possibly wouldn't. And if you do not follow Katy Culver, please head to the show notes. Please go follow her. She is the absolute best. And if you have nothing to do this fall and you want to go to Lisbon, Portugal, and have the time of your life and then make me have all the FOMO, you should totally go do that. And like I said, I will be linking that as well. And thank you again, Katy, for coming on here.
Thank you so much.
All right, y'all. I will see you back here next time. And as always, be a lot because I sure am.
Begging you to play, begging you to play.